Or are we so blind to push it all aside? No, we just have to open our eyes, our hearts and minds.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Sherif. I'll be your host today for a program about Islamic finance. IFRIG is Islamic Finance Research Institute of Ghana. We have a lot in store for you. Today's program is going to be interesting. Stick and stay.
Until the end of time.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the show. I have a very interesting guest with me here today, and his name is Haruna Rasheed Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
How's everything?
Alhamdulillah, we can't complain.
MashaAllah. Today's segment or today's session is about Islamic finance. What is Islamic finance?
Alhamdulillah, thank you once again. Most often than not, when we mention Islamic finance, people quickly talk about interest-free banking. But from the point of view of a Muslim, we say Islamic finance is a means of financing activities or commercial activities that complies with the Islamic Sharia, what we call Islamic law. So these kind of financing of activities, when we look at them, Islam prohibits interest taking. It prohibits giving loan and expecting interest in return, or taking loan and paying interest in return. But then at the core of Islamic finance, it's not just about the prohibition of interest taking, but then also going into businesses that are termed as haram. So haram financing is also against the ethics or the ethos of Islamic finance. Here again, it prohibits unnecessary risk taking. It also prohibits speculation, as happens in the conventional system of financing. So basically, this is what, in short, we say Islamic finance is about.
MashaAllah. Thanks so much for the brief explanation of what Islamic finance is about. Now, sometimes you hear about ethical financing. And what is the relationship between Islamic finance and ethical finances? Are they the same? Is there a difference?
When we talk about ethical financing, a lot of people put it like a bigger umbrella where Islamic finance falls under it. Obviously, mankind has lived on this earth for a longer period of time. We, from the point of view of Islam or the world itself, we say Islam is about 1,400 years old. So basically, people will talk about the financing system of the world even before Islam came to be a major force to reckon with. So a lot of people talk about, when you go back to the times of Hammurabi, there were how people dealt with each other in a system that was ethical in terms of financing. So people look at all these world systems of financing that are different from the conventional system of financing and put them together under an umbrella and call them ethical systems of financing, where interest-free banking is part of it. But then what differentiates Islam from those other systems is that, like I said earlier, it prohibits involving yourself in businesses that are termed as haram. So the ethics of Islamic financing is not just with interest-free banking, but then also businesses that Islam prohibits. So if I talk about this ethical financing, for instance, selling weapons is not haram per se, but then we don't finance selling of weapons in Islam, because when you do that, the use of weapons, someone might use it to kill someone, and then the ultimate objective of the Sharia is to protect life. And so if it is consistent with Islamic law and Sharia, then definitely you stay away from things that are also doubtful. So if I invest in war, I'm going to kill people because I need people to buy my weapons. And so ethical financing, when we talk about it and talk about Islamic financing, ours is more ethical than what other people portray as ethical, because obviously someone says ethical only because there is no interest, but then he will go and finance the selling of alcohol, which someone will take. He will go and finance gambling, and then gambling in Islam is haram. But gambling also leads to a lot of stress and hypertension for other people, and then other vices. So our ethical financing, when we talk about it, is more different from what other people talk about when they say ethical financing. But then basically they are put under the same umbrella.
Under the same umbrella. So, I mean, you talk about the ethics of Islam, or what basically is ethical and is halal, prohibited within the Islamic context.
No.
And so that is that is the broad picture of what Islamic finance, is, of course. Now, if you could zoom into one of the key areas of, Islamic finance, or one of the key concepts that comes up every time Islamic finance is being discussed, is the issue of riba, the issue of interest, the issue of usury, as they call it. Why is interest a problem?
Thank you very much once again. I will still go back to history again. All of us read The Merchant of Venice. You see a character being portrayed, Shylock. He was a money lender. And then you can see the way he was portrayed as the bad man in that story, because someone came to borrow money from him. But then the times were such that when you borrow money, you pay with interest. But when he came to ask for his money, he said he was going to take every pound of flesh that was promised to him. So you see that even in ancient times, people were against the taking of interest. And then a lot of people don't look at this from the point of view that we look at it. Recently, on WhatsApp, someone sent me a message about a father in a family who was a business. And then they were doing well. He had his house, his properties, he had a car. But then he was someone who was in construction. He went to take a loan to finance his construction projects. But everyone sees him to be doing well. But then he was owing the bank. And then pressure started coming because of the interest that he owed to the bank. Now because of this pressure, he couldn't even tell the wife anything. But every day he was doing well. He's financing the family. He's doing everything. This pressure led to his death. Then after his death, they realized that the man had nothing. And still the banks were chasing for their interest. And what Islam prohibits when it comes to this riba that we talk about is such that interest is fixed even before you do your business. So if I'm giving you a loan, I'm expecting 10% returns, whether the business succeeds or not. But Islamic finance does its core business ex post and not ex ante. So what we do here is that when I give you money to finance a project, it is at the end of the project, after we take the cost of financing the project, then we look at profit and loss, where we share it. In this way, I am protecting both the investment and then the human being involved. But when it comes to only interest, I'm only looking at the credit and not the human being. So there is no people relation. We don't feel for people. What we do is I'm giving you money. I don't care how the money turns into another money. All I do is I'm waiting for money in return. And people invest in these kind of businesses. They sit back knowing that no matter what they do, without partaking in the risk sharing, the other person will kill himself and bring interest and bring them money. But Islam does not want us to burden humanity. And so if you're giving someone money, it's also important that you at least know what the business is about. Are there prospects? Can you give him some consultancy that leads him to do the business better? So that when you are benefiting, he is also benefiting.
So stay with me a bit on this issue of interest.
No.
You want money from me, and you're a business person, and you expect the money to grow your business or to enhance your business. Now, why shouldn't I also benefit from the business? Although I may not be interested in the business. I give you the money, you use it for work, you make money on money, right? Why shouldn't I have a share of the benefits of the money I give you? What is wrong with that?
That's an interesting question that keeps on coming up. And even when you look at what the Western system gave us as an economic system that we are running now, look at the example of Silicon Valley. Now, there is something going on there that we call venture capital entrepreneurship. This kind of way of financing projects is consistent also with Islamic finance, what we call mudaraba. So the mudarib puts his money in a venture. I am not an IT person, let's take it. But then there is someone who wants to come up with a software that can do a lot of things. And then he presents this idea to me. Okay, I'm going to finance it. Use your energy. I'm not saying when I give you the money, I'm taking only the money without profit. Here I say profit and not interest, because at the time I give you the money, I'm not saying by force give me 10% at the end of every month. But I'm saying go and put it in the business. Let's make sure the business succeeds. After it succeeds, my capital that goes in comes out because it's my capital. Of course, when you look at the other angle, I take my capital, but then I'm still expecting a fixed interest rate, no matter what happens. But over here, I'm saying if I get my capital, after that, that is when we look at the profitability of the venture we go into. And then now we go on a profit and loss sharing. rather than me burdening you, just even if it's not succeeding and you can't come back to tell me, you might even go and lie somewhere to find some money just to pay me, and then it's a cycle of debt on you because you just want to be credit free.
Okay, so I would want to clarify before we take a break. I just want to clarify this issue of interest. So if you give me your money and I'm working with it, and you expect me to add an amount of money to it when I'm paying you back, it is a problem. That is what is termed to be interest, right? I'm adding some money to it, to the money. If you give me 10,000 and I'm paying you back after a month, and I give you 10,100, the 100 is the interest that you are taking from me or you are putting on, and you are saying that if you are not involved in the business and you are just interested in the amount of money I would add, it becomes a burden. And even if the business doesn't go well, you don't care. I'd still have to pay that interest, that additional amount. And that is a problem. And I think I agree with you. That surely is a problem. What if the business doesn't go well? Then I find myself being burdened to pay more. So we would hold on this particular concept or point. Inshallah, we would come back to continue and elaborate more on this point, inshallah. Viewers, we take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Keep us close to you until the end of time. Open your eyes, your heart and mind. If you just look right, you see the sign.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Viewers, thank you for staying and welcome back. We are discussing about Islamic finance, and we zoomed into the issue of interest, which seems to be a pivotal concept or area within Islamic finance. So we will just continue the conversation from there with my guests, Haruna, Rasheed, Mohammed. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
MashaAllah. So we are talking about this issue of interest and why it is not fair. Basically, we are just looking at the ethical aspect of interest. And from your explanation about Mudaraba, I understood that it's basically about partnership, right? So if I give you my money, I don't sit back and expect profit, but I partake in the business as a partner. So as I put my money in, I also join to ensure the success of the business. I help you to succeed. So when you succeed, you benefit, I benefit. When the business doesn't go well, we share the loss. This is fair. Am I right on that?
It appears fair. No. So I said Mudaraba and I mentioned venture capital entrepreneurship.
No.
But when we talk about partnership, there is another term where we say musharaka.
Okay.
So we are partners in a venture, we are partners in a business. Where now we come together, what we call cooperatives these days in Ghana. You have a cooperative society where people pool resources together, they invest into, say, a project, and then it works well for them. Then at the end of the month, they have dividends, or at the end of the cycle of the project, they have dividends. But then we spoke about interest, and then you mentioned 100 cedi as increments. Even if it's just 1 cedi and it's interest fixed at the time I gave you the money, it's not about the quantum, it's not about the size of the amount of money, but it is about the nature of the fixed amount that you are fixing on that money you are giving out. So a lot of people have had problems with taking loans and then what people call time value of money. If I take 100 cedi now from you and a year from now I'm going to get it reflecting as maybe 90 cedi. So I'm rather losing 10 cedi. So how do I get it? So a lot of people have found a way around this and say, okay, if I'm giving you $100 now for a long-term investment, so I will say, okay, since Islamic finance is basically asset-backed and not just money on money, I will say, okay, this $100 I'm giving you, I will fix it against this X grams of gold today.
Okay.
So in 3 years' time, when you're going to pay me, you're paying me this X grams of gold, and not just the paper $100. So if in 3 years' time, X grams of gold is $120, you are still paying me X grams of gold, but then the dollar equivalent. So now that money that goes from me to you was backed by an asset, which is the gold. And not just I gave you money expecting you to make money out of thin air and then give me money.
Okay.
So usually Islamic finance has to do with the real economy itself. So
Okay.
it is asset based as well.
So in that regard, I mean, would you say I should give the person the gold so that he gives me gold back, or I can give him the money and say I'm pegging this money to the gold, and so you're paying me back the money, but pegged as at the time with the gold? What will you say about that?
Look, so I like giving a lot of anecdotes from history. So I will say this. Over time, mankind, we started as hunter-gatherers, basically.
Yes.
So when self-subsistence became an issue, now we need to get from someone. So we started doing barter trading.
Yes.
At a point in time, when you read history, it tells you that even in West Africa here, our people, when they mine the gold, they go and leave it somewhere like this. Then the other people come, they check the gold. Okay, it's about, say, 20 grams of gold. They take it. Then they leave 20 grams of salt. That is barter trading. Fine, we were doing it. The economic system was okay for us. But then over time, the volumes of transactions, so we started having other bills of exchange. So money became a currency. But even before the paper money was invented, our people again were using cowries as
a means of exchange.
As a means of exchange again. So if I give you 10 cowries, 10 cowries today, and you put it down, it will never become 20 cowries. It's 10 cowries.
10 cowries.
You see, but then the paper money, because of the concept of inflation that was used to back it,
the fiat currency
so
system.
it became an issue. And so how do we go around this without losing money when we also loan out money? So then, what is the real asset that will back this transaction between us? So if I am giving you some banks, if you want the gold and you want money from them as loan to buy the gold, they will say, okay, fine, wait, I will go and buy the gold, and then I will sell the gold to you. Because I'm not giving you direct money and saying that because I'm giving you money, add 10% at the end of the month.
Yeah.
But what I'll do is I will involve myself in the business.
Sure.
Buy the gold, and then when I buy the gold, I'll come and sell it to you now. And then when I sell it to you, after you do your business, you also come and pay me back my money with the profit that we share out of that business.
Yes.
So a lot of people, especially those who are greedy when it comes to money, don't understand this. They are okay going for the loan and then the bank not knowing what they are really going to do. But then you see, a lot of secrecy leads to a lot of problems for all of us.
Exactly.
We are human beings as we are. I might be greedy, I might want things for myself. But usually the one who hoards a lot starts facing a lot of problems. But when we share, everyone is happy. Everyone facilitates things for everyone else to benefit. So this is a system that is based on being just to ourselves and being just to others as well.
And being fair. So basically, if you bring your money and you help me to succeed, we share in the profits, or we share in the benefits that comes out of the deal.
No.
And so the fairness here is you share in the profits, you share in the loss.
No.
And this is the underpinning, factor of fairness. MashaAllah. Viewers, you are still watching our program about Islamic finance from IFRIG, Islamic Finance Research Institute of Ghana. And I'm here with Brother Haruna Rasheed Muhammad, who is the Secretary of IFRIG. There's so much to discuss about Islamic finance and the various aspects of Islamic finance. And I'm pretty sure it's not just about riba or interest or usury, if you'd want to put it that way. But for today, we would want to go into what IFRIG is about, and then inshallah subsequently we would speak more to the whole concept of Islamic finance and the other areas that comes with Islamic finance. I'm sure there's Islamic insurance, sukuk, there's the mudaraba you mentioned, there's musharaka, etc., etc. So inshallah we would look into that. But what is IFRIG?
Thank you once again. IFRIG is an acronym, stands for Islamic Finance Research Institute of Ghana. It's basically a research institute that is focused on researching in the areas of economics. But then always when you talk about economics, invariably you talk about finance as well.
Sure.
And so, even though we came up with the name Islamic Finance Research Institute of Ghana, everything that you do also has a consequence or an effect on your finance, or your finance goes into it as well.
Yes.
So when we say we are researching in the area of finance, banking and economics, we're basically saying we are researching into everything that humankind does. Because today, if I wake up and I'm going to buy, it's finance. Even if I want to sleep, I need a roof to sleep under, it's finance. So we came up together as a team doing research in this field. But something necessitates something. We realize that in this country, there is a lot of economic injustice going on. And it isn't anyone's fault per se. It is just because we are only used to one system of financing in this country, or one system of dealing with each other in this country. Whereas there are alternative systems. I'm not saying just the Islamic finance, there are other systems of financing. We probably would want to mention capitalism, socialism, all these things have some economic systems underpinning them as well. And then Islam as a religion has its ethical financing system underpinning it.
Yes.
And then this alternative system of financing, when you look at the developed world, not even the developing world, they are really embracing it post the 2008 financial crisis. Now we realize that there is a window of opportunity for Ghana as a developing nation, which is struggling to develop, and then also going back to this IMF and World Bank group, taking money on loan and paying huge interest. And if I can quote Obasanjo or paraphrase him, he said at some point in time, Nigeria was owing more than $30 billion to the IMF group. Meanwhile, all that they borrowed was around 5 million at the time they borrowed. But because of the interest rate, they are owing that much to this group. So it means that if there is a system that allows you to borrow money internationally for your projects to develop without paying interest on it, which is equity based, then it is a far better system for you to pursue, rather than just having another system that's a yoke on your neck. So having this idea, we can't just be shouting out of vacuum that we need Islamic finance in Ghana. Because we need research to point us to the direction to go.
You need to do research. Okay, so hold your thoughts there, not to cut you. Inshallah, we take a short break, and then inshallah we'll pick up from there about IFRIG and your activities and upcoming programs you have. Thank you very much, viewers, for staying with us. We will take a very short break, and inshallah we'll be back soon.
Till the end of time. Open your eyes and heart and mind. If you just look right, you'll see the signs. We can't keep hiding from the...
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you for staying with us. Jazakumullah khair. We are still here talking about Islamic finance and Islamic Finance Research Institute of Ghana, IFRIG. We are here with our brother Haruna Rasheed Mohammed, the secretary of IFRIG. Welcome back, my brother.
Thank you.
We were talking about IFRIG and why the need for research into Islamic finance. We are talking about the economy and the need for alternative sources of finance and the problem with the conventional system of finance, which caused the collapse, the economic crisis, economic depression, economic collapse in 2008. And you made reference to Obasanjo's statement about the problem of interest that they faced as a country in Nigeria some time back, which, I mean, the world over, countries are facing. Why do you think, if you could continue from there, why the need for research? What is the use of research, and how does it impact or benefit community, and what is IFRIG doing about it?
Thank you very much once again. I mentioned research before we went on the break. Basically, without research, we wouldn't know what we are even doing here. As human beings as we are, research has moved us from, again, the hunter-gatherer society I mentioned. Man previously was just going into the bush, gather, hunt, but then when he realized that if I pick this particular leaf, it becomes poisonous to the body, then the research started. I need to differentiate between the one that is poisonous and the one that is healthy. So without that, all of us would have consumed poison, all this one, and then die. But someone took the time to say, okay, the ayoyo is okay for you to eat, but this other one is poisonous. So researching into the benefits of even herbs, and then the one that can be food, has helped us to sustain ourselves now. And then again, when I mention this, there are a lot of things that go around us. Without research, we will never understand. For instance, I can sit in my house and say, probably everyone in Ghana has a bank account. That's me assuming in my house.
The assumption, basically.
But then, if I go out and I start questioning people, I will realize that there are some people who don't even want to have a relationship with the bank. And this is where research comes in. So when we started, initially we were shouting, we need Islamic banks in Ghana, we need Islamic finance in Ghana. And then it forced the hand of governments to even say, okay, in the Banking and Specialized Deposit Taking Institutions Act of 2016, there is going to be interest-free banking in Ghana. But then, that is a point we got to. But post that, what is the research or the data that shows that when you bring this Islamic banking or interest-free banking, the people are ready for it? And so we embarked on a research project at IFRIG. Said, okay, let's look at the prospects and then the challenges to introducing Islamic banking in Ghana or Islamic finance in Ghana as it is. And believe you me, if we had sat in our rooms, we would have thought that probably the non-Muslim population is even against introducing Islamic finance in Ghana. But when we went out to do the research, we realized that the non-Muslim population is even advocating for it. So that is what the data tells you.
Okay, so from the people you researched or you questioned,
from the sample
space, you had some non-Muslims participating in the research, and these non-Muslims were advocating for Islamic finance. They were interested in Islamic finance,
exactly,
as well as the Muslims as well. So meaning that it's not just about Muslims or it's not just about Islam. Even the Muslims who understand the ethical and opinion of Islamic finance are promoting or advocating for it. Is that right?
So, like I was saying again, when we talk about research, it comes in many ways though, and I'm going to tell you, research comes from identifying a problem in society. So we've realized again that there has been several research publications that have shown that within Ghana, majority of the population are not even saving with a bank. As of 2014, the unbanked population was about 70% in this country. As of 2017, you're looking at 54% of our women saving with banks, and about 64% of the population saving with banks. That was as of 2017 getting to 2019. So you realize that there are still some people who are not banking. And then the question is, why aren't they banking? Not all of them are Muslims, not all of them are non-Muslims. But going through these groups, we realize that some are saying it's just principally because of the interest. Principally because of what they term as the banking sector has a lot of hidden agenda that they don't understand. And for that matter, they are okay keeping their money at home. So if you have an ethical system of financing and someone has researched to show that these people are just waiting for that system of financing so that they will also get included in what we call financial inclusion again, they get included in the business of saving and banking. And again, I will give you an example. In Bangladesh, Mohamed Yunus started what we call a Grameen Bank. He realized that in Bangladesh, from his research, women were not banking and men were banking. And then women were just part of the poorest of the poor in society then. And so he took about $27 from his own pocket and then he loaned it to women, about 42 women. So basically about 60 cents per person at that time in 1987 to start businesses with. And then within a short period of time, Grameen Bank stands as one of the biggest banks, not only in Bangladesh alone, but around the world now. And Grameen is doing a lot of solar projects outside Bangladesh. So this is someone who started ethical credit. He was giving out credit ethically without taking interest. But it was based on the research again. He realized that if I do it with the women, I will succeed because the conventional banks are taking high interest rates and they are not including these women who cannot pay those interests. So research leads you, it guides you, it shows the steps you're supposed to take. If not, I would have my money I want to build. I wouldn't even know that this is loamy soil. This is clayey soil. But if I have someone to research the soil and he tells me that, oh, even this soil is good for agriculture, not building, so go and farm on it. Probably after 5 years when it becomes fallow, then you can build on it, but then you've benefited a lot more from it than just building on it. So it is still research, that component that guides us.
Very important, very important. Thank you very much for underscoring the importance of research for us generally, as well as for finance and Islamic finance in Ghana. Now, what are some of the activities of IFRIG, and what program do you have coming up soon?
Thank you once again. Like I said earlier on, our primary activity is conduct research in various areas. Aside that though, we do a lot of consultancy services. And then also, we do a lot of business advisory services as well. And then we have people from various professional backgrounds at IFRIG. And so we leverage on these professionals
Expertise.
and their expertise from their backgrounds. So if I tell you I can conduct research in the area of law or legal issues, it's because we have people who have the legal expertise to do that. If I tell you we can conduct research in the area of agriculture, we have people with that background. And so we leverage on these individual expertise.
Because they are all related to finance anyway.
Exactly. And then also at IFRIG now, what we are doing is to start a movement towards the introduction of Islamic banking and finance in Ghana. But then our work is not just limited to the research component of that. We do the research, and then the research leads to advocacy again.
Yes.
And then
Policy.
advocacy and research also feeds into policy. But then when policy becomes policy, you also need to do research to know the impact of the policy. And so these three things are the pillars of IFRIG actually: policy, research, and advocacy again. So what we do, our research goes to the grassroots. People advocate for what we are saying.
And educate
and then
the
it
people.
goes to those at the elite level, the lawmakers, and then they put it into their policy again, and then it comes back. It's a cycle or a
impact on the
triangle
people.
that we do. And then aside that, upcoming we have a forum. We are terming it the Islamic Finance Forum 2020. We are going to have this forum at the AMA Omaniaba Hall, Accra City Hall, AMA Hall. It's going to be on the 7th of November.
Wow.
It's going to bring key stakeholders from the
Saturday.
financial sector.
There's going to be a weekend, right?
It's
Saturday,
on Saturday.
7th.
Saturday on the 7th from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Inshallah. It's going to bring people from various sectors of our economy, the political players, the technocrats in the banking sector. We are talking about the scholars of Islam because they have the knowledge, the theoretical knowledge of what we call Islamic finance. Then we're talking about the youth again because they form majority of the population. From now, moving into the future, they are those who are going to drive the economy of Ghana. And so if we don't bring them on board now, who is going to bring them on board? Then also our women folks, because they are always in the markets, they are always dealing with finance. So we are bringing people even from parliament as well. We are bringing our chiefs again because they are opinion leaders. So we are bringing people from all walks of life to this particular forum so that we will discuss, like we said from our research, the challenges and prospects towards introducing Islamic finance in Ghana, and even why the need for Islamic finance in Ghana, inshallah.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. So it's going to be about bringing stakeholders together to talk about alternative financing, not just for the Muslim community, but for the country as well. MashaAllah. I mean, how can people join IFRIG? And how, first of all, how can people participate in this forum? How can they join the forum? Because I'm sure it's by invitation, it's strictly by invitation. So how does one get an invitation ticket to attend this program?
Wow, he wants to put me in a very, very tight corner. The invitations, like he himself said, it's strictly by invitation. And then, most often than not, when you're starting something like this, ideally you would want to have everybody there because it's beneficial to everybody. But then you also realize that some voices way heavier than some voices. And you also realize that some podiums are higher than some podiums. And then you also realize that some people can carry a lot of weight than others. And so we chose carefully, though, to bring people that I mentioned earlier, the parliamentarians, those in government, those scholars, those in banking sector.
Academia
but then
well.
aside those from academia, and I am actually forgetting two people here, two key institutions. The Islamic University College of Ghana, and then Medina Institute of Science and Technology.
All in Accra here.
All in Accra here. They are the two academic institutions that are partnering with us to have this forum.
No.
And I asked that I should be forgiven for not mentioning them earlier. And so aside these people from academia, we're also looking at people within our communities. So I won't say I can promise anyone a ticket, but then if you want to participate in the forum, I will leave an email address, that is IFRIG's email address. You will send an email expressing a desire to participate in the forum, and then we'll take it up from there, inshallah.
Mashallah. So what's the email address?
It's simple, info@ifrig.org. I'm repeating again, info@ifrig.org. So info at ifrig.org.
Okay.
Thank you.
MashaAllah. And what if people want to be parts or members of IFRIG? They can send an email as well.
They can.
If they want to be
And so the subject of
IFRIG.
that email should be membership. The first one should be about participation in the forum. And the second one, if you want to be a member, is about membership. And then we'll reply accordingly.
Inshallah. But Haruna, Rasheed, what are your final words for our viewers?
Before that, I have something to say though. We spoke about research a lot, and I even forgot to mention that we've had a lot of publications.
MashaAllah.
Or we've had a lot of research works. We've published 3 presently, because we set ourselves a target from last year that every year we'll have 4 publications.
Inshallah.
So we are still on course to have the 4th one. But one of the important ones was the one we submitted to the Ministry for Zongo and Inner Cities. It has to do with the impact of COVID-19 again on Zongo businesses. And since that was a sector ministry that was overlooking the affairs of the Zongo communities, we sent it to the ministry. And indeed, the minister was happy to have seen such a report.
Dr. Mustafa
Abdul Hamid.
He received the report.
He received it. He was happy. He commented on it. He said we will be in communication,
Inshallah,
for further engagements, inshallah. But then, if you really want my last words, I'm going to say that all this I said, it's just a tip of the iceberg. If even you can't make it to our forum, we are going to share a Zoom link for you to be able to join, or even a Facebook link, just technology-wise, for you to be able to follow us, because you are going to learn a lot. I didn't even mention the panelists. You are looking at Fauzi, you are looking at Dr. Nile, Prof. Nile, you are looking at Prof. Gachi, you are looking at people with knowledge and expertise when it comes to Islamic finance.
As well as banking itself.
Over the years, they've accumulated a lot of experiences. And so, if even you don't get some of our invitation tickets to come to the forum, you can join us online, and inshallah you're going to learn more than what I have said, because this is just a tip of the iceberg. Thank you very much once again.
So, mashallah. So, our page on the Facebook is Islamic Finance Research Institute of Ghana.
Yes, please.
On Facebook. So, I mean, viewers or those who are interested in joining or knowing more or having updates about the program can check on Facebook as well, or send us an email to join the WhatsApp page we have and get updates, as we move along, inshallah. Thank you so much, Brother Haruna, for joining us today. We hope to have you around some other time to discuss more about Islamic finance. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much, viewers, for staying with us and listening to what we have for you. Inshallah, this is the first of many sessions or programs we would have for you to talk about Islamic finance and the development of the Ummah in our nation. Jazakumullah khair. Hope to see you soon. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Keep us close to you until the end of time. Open your eyes and heart and mind. If you just look right, you'll see the signs. We can't keep hiding from the truth and let it take us by surprise. Protect us in the best way, guide us every single day. Keep us close to you.